There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Boy, does that make my skin crawl. What do you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Okay, guys, welcome back to So to Speak. I'm Evan Mead. This is my co-host, Lyle Groniger.
Hello.
And we are here tonight to follow up on that quote, that edgy-ass quote that I just dropped. That's a quote by Terrence Fletcher, who is a character in one of the movies we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, the movies we've chosen to discuss tonight are movies that are super uncomfortable to watch. Now, just to avoid some conclusion, yes, even though our pilot episode was about bad movies, no, our show is not only dedicated to bad movies, but we did want to do a show where we talk about movies that, leave us with a disturbed, ugly, or just uncomfortable feeling. And I want to make something clear. Not all of these... none of these movies are bad objectively. Like, we're dealing with some cinematic masterpieces tonight, but we're going to talk about the profound impact and disturbing impact that each film had on us individually. Now, when I say us, Lyle and I are here tonight, but tonight we are joined by a friend of mine that he and I go back a long way. I'd like to introduce Sean Stokes tonight. Sean is a filmmaker, writer, anti-humanitarian, in his own words. And he was happy to join us tonight to really give some edge to this topic. So, Sean, welcome.
What's up? What's going on? How's everyone doing?
It's great.
Oh, we're doing great.
We're doing good.
We're very happy to have you.
Yes.
Good.
So.
Yes, absolutely.
And tonight we're going to let you kick off the list tonight with you're the first movie that you want to talk about that was so disturbing that left a profound impact on you.
Yeah, we all picked 5 films each, so we're going to go back to back here. And Sean can start us off.
Now we're going to be covering several decades and 2 centuries worth of movies. So my list is predominantly from the 2000s, but I am going to cover one classic from the 70s. And Lyle, you'll be covering...
I got a pretty good list from the 50s all the way to the 2010s.
Okay.
But
yeah, let's start with Sean.
Oh. All right. We're starting this whole thing off, eh?
Cool. Yep.
So
you have the honor.
So if you're going to look at films, like... If you're going to look at films that made you uncomfortable, like, if you want to get to the original genesis of it, there are 2 films that come to mind. So the first one is Nosferatu, which is the one, is the original Dracula.
Yes.
However, my personal opinion, the film M by Fritz Lang from 1931, I feel like that one should be more discussed. I feel like that one's actually more of an underrated title. It's just simply because it's from early German expressionistic cinema.
Yes.
Yes.
The whole plot about it is that it's about it disappears. It starts off with a disappearance of a little girl, right? I think she's about 8 years old.
Yes.
And the whole town almost has like gained like this. Where's the killer? Who is this? And then when they finally find the guy, he has this one scene near the ending. He knows he's caught. He fully knows that he's done some fucked up shit. His whole journey tells you that. You may not see him a lot, but you actually do. It makes him very not only like terrifying, but also at the same time when you show that much vulnerability, it's such an uncomfortable tone, especially when the main person, the main killer, is asking for sympathy from the audience. You know what I mean? And even if you go back to film's history, that wasn't heard of. That was like so out of left field because you also had the end of the silent film era and then brought new of sound, right?
Yeah.
And then when you also incorporate the history of Germany, right? They were able to tell stories that were different. I want to say different if they weren't under the circumstances that they were. If that makes any sense.
They were very ahead of their time. You're right, and I do like the fact that the film, in a very risky move, humanizes its villain to the point where there's this. I remember one scene because I saw it about a few months ago, where he's just sitting in a diner and he's kind of or at a cafe and he's trying to really resist his urges to be a predator, but it's not easy for him, and you really see him sweat and struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, M is an excellent film, and I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Just for the record, I have not seen M, but I'm really intrigued by this. And it's really interesting you talk about the culture shock of just how Germany was like in the world at the time, because while they suffered the hardest after World War One, you mentioned Nosferatu earlier. That was made at a time when Sean, you're the history buff here. Educate me a little if I'm wrong. More in the 20s when Germany was in the big slump before the rest of the world was, and they were struggling, more people went to movies and more filmmakers got more innovative. That's how Nosferatu also came to be. We're not just going to discuss Nosferatu in depth tonight, but I have seen that, and it just it kind of harkens back to what you were saying about the whole culture shock with Germany and film.
Yeah. So brief history, just quick brief history, is that what happened was that at the end of the First World War, Germany was held accountable for reparations, which means that they had to pay for the entire damage that happened to France, Belgium, Italy, Switzerland, everywhere.
Yeah, all the allies.
And they got stuck with the bill, and they went broke.
Oh, it was an economical turmoil.
Like, even the Americans were trying to help them out as much as they did, but then when the stock market crashed in like 1928 or 29.
Yeah, it was 29.
That was when Germany was, 1929. So, like, if you actually even think about it, that whole transition started at the end of the 20s with Nosferatu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the culture was changing naturally on its own. So it's only natural for films like Nosferatu or like M or even Frankenstein from like 1930. I think it's like 1933.
It was 30. It was 33. Yeah.
Like even then, like it was that whole transition. You know what I mean? And and it actually, realistically, gave birth to horror cinema as we know it.
By experiencing the real world horrors.
But anyway,
that's trippy. Yeah.
All right. Well, M is a very good film. My pick to start off tonight is a French film called Eyes Without a Face from 1959.
Oh yeah.
I think I'll give a bit of a plot summary just to kind of break it down. Basically, there's this mad scientist. Well, I guess he's more of a mad surgeon who has a daughter who tragically disfigured her face during a car accident. So he goes out of his way to use his highest learning as a surgeon to take other women, kidnap them, transplant their faces onto his daughter, and try to repair the damage that happened to her. And what I find very disturbing, there's one very disturbing scene in the film where we actually witness the entire transplant in real time. It starts off very simple, like they start tracing over the face, they start taking a small little knife and cutting away at the flesh. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this is 1959. They can't actually show the entire procedure. Like, Frankenstein got cut up way more than this. And then you see them get their fingers underneath the flesh and start peeling off. And you see the jaw, like, flesh warble. And it made my stomach churn. I'm like, oh my god, how did they do this? No wonder this got so much controversy.
Am I thinking of something else? Did The Simpsons parody this in the Treehouse of Horror 5 with the whole Ned Flanders re-education?
You're thinking Treehouse of Horror 7, right? I think that's the one where it's like they need to build a whole new Homer. I think it was. And they used different flights. Was that what the one?
I don't recall that one actually.
Oh yeah,
I've been binging The Simpsons like mad. I don't recall.
Because I screwed up because they don't build a new Homer. It's an episode where Ned Flanders becomes the unquestioned ruler of the world, and he takes everyone who defies him to a re-education center.
That's Simpsons 5.
And the hooks dig into them to make them smile. and there's one where they're like smiling like against their will.
That has nothing to do with
Okay,
Eyes
then
Without a Face.
my mistake.
That's more like a 1984 parody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, my mistake. Sorry.
But yeah, another aspect of Eyes Without a Face that's sort of disturbing, just to wrap things up, the girl herself who's disfigured, the reason why it's called Eyes Without a Face is that she wears like a blank mask over her disfigurement. Throughout most of the runtime of the movie, you don't really see her unmasked. But she's very still, she's very statuesque, and like sometimes the camera will pan and we just see her in frame, and she's so still, and as soon as she moves, it startles me a little. And I believe her very look was a major inspiration for John Carpenter's Halloween when he was developing Michael Myers, because she looks and acts quite a lot like Michael, the way she'll like slowly move throughout the room. And I think there's only one scene where we actually see her unmasked, but it's so out of focus that you don't get any detail, and maybe that's for the best. They didn't need enough people fainting in the audience in 1959.
It's crazy.
But yeah, Eyes Without a Face. That's my first pick. Let's move on to Evan.
Okay, so I'd just like to say that I don't watch that much horror. Horror, I said this in the last episode, but horror is like the one genre of film that I'm least familiar with. However, I wonder if what I'm going to talk about qualifies as horror. Lyle introduced me to this movie several Halloweens ago in my parents' basement with all the lights turned off, and this movie that I'm going to talk about tonight is there's
you forgot one aspect. The water boiler.
Oh, you are a cruel bastard.
The water boiler was like right behind us.
Yes.
The water heater was going.
They don't even know what I'm...
Ding, and they were just making all this background ambience and whirling. I'm like, this is the perfect environment for you to get a taste of this.
And you don't even know what movie I'm talking about.
Yes.
The movie in question is Eraserhead. Now, Eraserhead is a very noteworthy film because it is the first out of what would later become 10 feature films directed by one of the most noteworthy filmmakers, I think, of all time, David Lynch. Now, the plot of Eraserhead is there is this fellow named... I'm just going to pull up his name. Henry Spencer. He's in... as you can tell, I've only seen this movie once.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. So
yeah, but this goes to the point. But, like, nothing about this movie has, like, made me want to watch it again. But, god damn it, is it ever fascinating when you really, like, think about it after the fact. So, Henry Spencer is this guy who lives in this dystopian... ruined world, presumably from, I think they were going for nuclear fallout.
There's a picture frame that shows a mushroom cloud.
Yes.
It was inferred.
So, it's like a post-nuclear apocalypse world that Henry lives in, and he has a partner who he's been intimately involved with recently, and the first half of the movie covers a really awkward meeting of the parents. Like, he's with this woman, and he goes to he meets their parents, and they're the most... like eccentric people you'll ever see. They're a product of this world, and they're all a product of this ruined nuclear world and this wasteland. But that's not even the half of how the nuclear waste translates itself to the screen and to the characters, because as it turns out, Henry is a new dad to a horrifying mutant creature, if you can even call it that. This baby, it looks like an aborted embryo of the ostrich, the Camino One aliens from Star Wars Attack of the Clones.
I always thought it looked like a giant sperm, to be honest.
I think that's what they were going for, just to kind of symbolize the whole loss of the human existence. Yeah. So
special effects wasn't that on point in 1977.
I know, but
give it me personally, I thought it would look like a burnt little like marshmallow. You know what I mean? Just like a marshmallow that was like squished too tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially the neck area. But yeah, I gotta say the puppetry in Eraserhead is incredibly well done.
It's an effect that looks better than a lot of CGI effects in horror movies today.
People talk about The Thing, people talk about Blade Runner, but I'm very surprised no one talks about how good the effects are in Eraserhead.
Yeah. So, and then what I just talked about isn't even like, the whole like horror of this, because in addition to the baby being a product of disease, the baby does become diseased in one of the most off-putting lines of dialogue I've ever heard in a movie. Henry Spencer walks into the room one scene and takes a look at this poor thing, and it's crying like a normal baby would. That's what's really creepy. This sounds like a normal baby, but it looks nothing like a normal baby. This thing is... Yeah, and then Henry goes, "Oh, you are sick." And... I don't know. What's our policy, Lyle, on giving away the ending of the movie?
Good. That was good.
Yeah. I've been practicing, and funny enough, the vocal effects of the baby were done by David Lynch's own daughter at the time.
Oh wow!
Who was a newborn. So
Oh my God.
I wonder what the
Really?
parallels. Yeah.
I think like he was trying to encapsulate his insecurities about being a dad and just translating that to the screen. Was his daughter his firstborn?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh, okay. So then he would have just been like a new father, and
Yeah, and dealing with. I feel like it was a very personal touch.
oh yeah.
For him.
And this is a movie that I think about after the fact, and it's just so chilling for me, like just this ruined world and how the ruin. I know I keep using the word ruin a lot, but just the mutation, the abnormality just persists until the end of the movie, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Evan, how do you feel about the isolation of the world? It's very empty and barren.
Yeah.
And you spend most of the time alone in Henry's room.
That's I imagine like people like looking to compile a movie for social distancing purposes during the first initial phase of the pandemic, where because we're from Toronto, and after St. Patrick's Day, our city announced that all non-essential businesses had to close, and it stayed that way for a good month and a half or so until we had partial reopenings in mid-May, or in late April, early May. But until then, you would go on the streets of Toronto, and it looked like this. It looked as deserted as the world depicted in Eraserhead. That's what's also is so chilling about this.
Yeah, just gray and barren.
Where my mind is going right now is like, imagine what kind of psychological fucked up shit we're gonna see from new filmmakers who lived through this ordeal, and what is this gonna do for the horror genre after our lives get some form of normality back and we don't have to social isolate or wear masks anymore.
That's an interesting thought.
I mean, like, Lyle and I, just yesterday, we were having this uncomfortable conversation about, like, what is a post-COVID world going to look like, and, yeah, so that's...
Honestly, you know what I'm thinking right now, to be honest? I'm thinking, like, when you just say, like, the whole civic shut down the day after St. Patrick's Day, here I am thinking, you know, I actually worked the day of St. Patrick's Day. I should have gone out and partied.
Yeah, why not?
You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, I totally wasted St. Patrick's Day because of it.
Well, you can do it. You can do it next year.
Like,
we'll all catch up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So yeah.
So that's Eraserhead.
It's personally one of my favorite movies, but I know it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And like virtually everyone I've ever showed this movie to has fallen asleep. So.
Yeah.
So they don't know what they're missing.
It's back to you, Sean.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what the really cool thing about Eraserhead is that it came out in a decade where there were just like phenomenal filmmakers. Like, I'm gonna be talking about a couple of them, but the first one, and I don't care who disagrees with me, I really don't. But in my opinion, Stanley Kubrick is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time.
Fair enough.
I think most people would agree with that.
If you don't understand his work, then you do not understand cinema. And one of my personal favorites of his happens to be A Clockwork Orange.
Real horror show.
Malcolm McDowell.
Very well, brother. Very well.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I really want that fountain. I don't care how much money I will ever make. One day I will own one. The ones that dispenses milk.
Oh, the milk dispensers.
I want one of those fountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teach your kids how to love milk.
I think remember the first time I saw it, I was with my buddy Jerry, and we were smoking a joint, whatever, and then he started talking to me about it, and we watched it, and I'm like, what the fuck did you make me with it? What did you put me through for 2.5 hours? Because it's like the first, like, I don't want to spoil anything because that's just how good it is. But like, the first half of the movie, you're literally just like, okay, this dude is just like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's total. It's total anarchy. It's, you know what I mean. Like, 1 minute he saves a girl from being sexually assaulted to literally breaking and entering and murdering a woman.
Yeah.
In cold blood. You know what I mean? And you know, and then when you go from that, he gets busted to his prison incarceration. God, I can't speak. Incarceration, and you show him going through like those crazy experiments of everything that he loved getting turned against him, and then he becomes like this fragile. And that was actually the most uncomfortable part for the whole movie, which is how fragile he was at the end.
Yeah.
Just how, like that was like, just like, here's this guy who like gives zero fucks, literally zero fucks about humanity, and he does whatever he wants, and then it's like to go through that to change him to a total 180, like that made me like so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it made me literally question like mental health and how like people are helping with like the mental health of what's going on right now, when like it's you know what I mean. So and like sure, you can talk about you can talk about Lolita, you could talk about Lolita was Kubrick, right?
Yeah, it was Kubrick. It was Kubrick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you could talk about like that, but A Clockwork Orange, that was one where to me it's just like it's oh man.
No, it's trippy.
And you know what the funniest part about it? I'll keep watching it over and over again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, me too. I enjoy
whatever reason.
I enjoy it.
It's like how do I want to put myself through pain and misery for 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch A Clockwork Orange.
Right. What?
I remember when I was younger in high school, I actually it really fascinated me, the mystique of Clockwork Orange, and I really wanted to see it, but my mom was like, "No, you're not watching this until you're 18."
Oh.
And I'm like, so it was like one of those films that I really wanted to see at a young age, but I just couldn't. Until eventually she like took it out of a plastic bag. It's like, okay, you can have it. I'm like, yes, and I watched it, and I don't know, like, when you watch so many clips on YouTube, you kind of formulate how the plot goes. Like, I'd watch all the violent scenes, I'd watch all, like, the gang fights.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, because I'm a sucker for gang fights. I love stuff like The Warriors and stuff like that, but, like, Clockwork Orange, like, when I watched it all the way through, I was, like, pretty, the ramifications of the effects of the treatments he had was so brilliantly set up, because every single person he wrongs in the beginning comes back to haunt him in the end, and it's like all the hate, all the anger of the world is just on his shoulders.
But yeah, so there's actually this movie actually gave me a physical reaction to the point where I was almost physically sick, and I remember the scene that did it. There's a scene where I think he's in a bathtub or some kind of like metallic surface, and someone bangs a pole against the surface, and it just the sound is so like vibrant and
the police brutality scene,
it's so the sound effect.
Not that one. No, it's you remember, so the guy that got broken into where the woman was
the writer. Yeah, I know. There's like I thought he was talking about the sty where he's like being held up by his old friends.
No,
he's clanging against the pole or against the thing. And you're
no, and he's playing like Beethoven, right? He's playing Beethoven and banging on the roof and all that.
Yeah.
That scene. Yeah.
I don't think he was in a bathtub.
Well,
when that
he was in like some kind of service, and I remember he throws up once he hears like the sound wave like shock him to his core, and I remember feeling physically sick when I saw that.
Yeah. Okay, so that is I get what you mean.
Now, Lyle, there's an interesting. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's not my story, but you told me an interesting story how you showed this movie to a former friend of yours who was in real life a piece of shit, very much like
I don't think he went that far.
not that far. No, this guy in real life is a douchebag,
no,
but
he sucks. But I showed it to him because I thought he'd find it interesting. And I think after like the first half hour, he shut it off because he just thought it was one of his favorite movies was Singing in the Rain, and he really hated how the movie treated that song. Yeah.
Wait, is it the same dude that you guys had the issues with in the past?
Yes.
Yeah. We've had many issues with him.
Yeah.
But
really, his favorite movie is Singing in the Rain.
You could judge him on basically. I didn't know this.
Cool.
I didn't know this until recently, but I was wondering like what compelled Malcolm McDowell or Stanley Kubrick to direct him to Singing in the Rain while he's brutal.
I know the answer to that. See, like originally he wanted to have a song, but the problem was Malcolm McDowell didn't know the words to it, and they picked like a handful of songs for him to sing. He just didn't know that many songs. The only song that came to his head at the time was Singing in the Rain, and Stanley Kubrick thought about it for like a microsecond. And he's like, "Yes, do it." We'll get the rights later, but I want to use this.
I think I have like I don't associate A Clockwork Orange with Singing in the Rain. They're nothing alike.
No, they are not.
No.
So.
Dude, no, but just I just find it funny that a guy like him likes fucking Singing in the Rain.
Well, people like us like A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it is the last movie you'd ever suspect this guy to like. But anything else you care to say about this masterpiece?
Buy it, watch it, and watch it again.
Great.
Show it to your kids.
That's all.
Show it to your kids.
No.
There you go.
No.
Good lesson.
Okay, so it's to you. It's back to you, Lyle.
He's under lockdown again. There you go.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, alright. My next one is also kind of a rambunctious film full of drugs and violence and anarchy. It's Alex Cox's Sid and Nancy, which is a biopic about Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy Spungen during the heyday of the punk movement during the early late 70s Britain.
And the upbringing of and the origin story of
the biopic. It's a biopic about the Sex Pistols, yes, but more or less it's more aimed towards Sid. I'll be honest, like I don't really enjoy watching this movie, but I will say the first third is kind of enjoyable because it's like it shows Sid getting along with John Linden, aka Johnny Rotten, and him like getting into the band after Glenn Matlock left. I know a lot about the Sex Pistols. In fact, I remember when I took you to see it at TIFF.
Yes.
The first question I asked you is like, do you know anything about Sex Pistols? And you said no. And so I spent the next hour before the movie started breaking down the history of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, we went to the bar across the street and he just talked.
You only had an hour?
Yeah, we
I mean, they didn't last that long.
We went to a bar to...
They only had that one album.
Yeah, we went to a bar to drink, and he told me the story of the Sex Pistols, and I was intrigued. The movie, you gotta talk... When you get to it, you gotta talk about the experience we had in the theater.
Let me just break down what I thought about the movie.
Sure.
By the time Sid finally meets Nancy... and she like gets him more hooked on heroin, which wasn't the case. He was already on it thanks to his mother. By the time he starts getting into the drugs, this is when he starts really losing focus. This is when like the band is deteriorating, and like Johnny Rotten was getting jealous of Sid's fame, and it's like Sid Vicious and Sex Pistols, and sadly that's kind of the case. I don't think that was true though. Johnny was never like jealous of Sid. In fact, like when he saw this movie. In real life, he said it was shite, it was bollocks, and it was bowering.
Yeah,
but he says that about everything, so I don't know. But I definitely don't think the movie is 100% historically accurate. I think they take liberties here and there, but what are you gonna do? I do like Gary Oldman as Sid. Like I think he does a fine job. I think I'll talk about that later. But anyways, the part that gets me every time I watch this movie, I've only seen it about 2.5 times, and the half part was literally the second half, which I really don't like, because it shows Sid and Nancy like losing themselves in drugs, getting like becoming more of a toxic relationship, being alienated from their friends and family, moving to New York in some hotel, getting even more hooked to heroin, physically and mentally deteriorating, and then yeah, that stuff's not good. That one scene where like Sid and Nancy are in the subway and Sid starts vomiting blood and like laying on the ground and just saying like I'm fucking dead. I'm fucking dead. Like I just that's so hard to watch for me. I don't find him a very musically talented person, but I do find Sid Vicious to be a very tragic figure, and I kind of hope that I wish that he had a better lot in life than what he did, but that's just the thing. But anyways, when we saw this movie in TIFF, we were just, it wasn't a packed theater at all. It was just like about 10 people, I think, at the Lightbox, and there were two jokesters next to us who smuggled beer in and were cackling and laughing out loud at all the most inappropriate moments.
Yeah.
When Sid beats Nancy up, they laugh. When Sid grabs a knife, he's like, "You wanna fucking die! You wanna fucking die!" They start laughing, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You're taking me out of this, and you're laughing at all the parts that aren't funny.
Yeah, and I knew, like, I could see, like, yeah, this is not funny. And I'm like, these guys are dicks.
I was
like,
ready to yell at them. It's like, you fuckers,
Don't
show some respect.
do that at the goddamn Lightbox.
Yeah.
It's like the one cinema in all of Toronto where you go to actually watch a movie, to actually enjoy a movie.
Yeah,
to
no.
enjoy a film. That is what the Lightbox is for.
I was incensed.
It is not for two jackasses smuggling. Like, if you want to do that, go to fucking Cineplex, dude. Just go there, do the fucking VIP, and just have at it. Not at the fucking Lightbox one. And I fucking hope TIFF hears this and takes that shit seriously.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
If you're gonna, in a post-COVID world, throw these bums out, like, just in the future, because they're just there to have fun. TIFF is not a place for the average moviegoer. Like, not just shit on, like, people who go to movies.
Yeah, they're just being a bunch of shit disturbers, and I was very annoyed with them.
Trolls, like,
yeah.
And I would have this problem even at Cineplex, like, because I've had the odd time, every once in a while, I've had this, like, incident in a movie theater where, like, some jack-off is making noise or yelling at the movie. But that's a good stories for another day. But yeah, like, that amazing movie. Well, I understood the craft of it. It was an uncomfortable film, but I love the song that plays by the guy from The Clash.
Yeah, Joe Strummer.
Joe Strummer wrote the song and performs the song "Love Kills" in the credits, and it's an amazing song.
That's a fun song to listen to.
Oh, yeah, I know one,
yeah. And it was also shot by Roger Deakins. I didn't know that until after.
And he finally got...
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It was just like one of those things, just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
The dude that fucking did Skyfall directed this?
No, he shot it.
DP this, but
the guy who directed this film is another filmmaker I like. His name's Alex Cox. He's a British filmmaker.
And he also
he made another punk movie that I actually really love, and I would highly recommend because I find it quite underrated. It's called Repo Man with Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton.
And Sean, Lyle found out recently that you and I have a mutual friend and colleague that we've done several film projects with over the years who actually has a love for Repo Man. And when Lyle met Ho Anderson at your get-together a couple months ago, they talked about Repo Man. And the second I knew Ho mentioned Repo Man, I knew those two would be friends.
We should be friends. We should have coffee and drink beer and go get sushi and not pay.
Yeah.
Alright, but enough about Sid and Nancy.
No, it's more like, more with him, it's just like, case of 2-4 of whatever beer we can get, and let's party. Like, Ho is that kind of guy. I love him to death.
Oh, yeah. Alright.
And he's such a talented dude. Like,
yeah.
Like, you don't get to be on the top of CBC's list for no reason. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And he's accomplished that.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's awesome.
so much love to him.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
Sid and
awesome.
Nancy sadly is in the past, so now let's move on to Evan's pick.
Okay, so...
one thing I will also add, hold on, before we move on, one thing also, the woman that played Nancy, I forget her name at the moment, she was nominated, she won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress for that movie.
She was very good. Like a lot of people keep complaining to me. He's like, "Oh, her voice is so annoying."
That was my complaint.
She's so good in the role.
That was such a New York. That was her voice.
Yeah.
That was her voice. That was Nancy's actual voice.
Yeah. Well, how appropriate that
Chloe Webb was her name, by the way.
Yeah. So anyways,
Sorry.
no, it's okay.
Chloe Webb, yeah.
Yeah, Chloe Webb.
How appropriate that Sid and Nancy, the central conflict of that movie is a battle with drugs. Because the next movie that I'm going to talk about is all about addiction. Requiem for a Dream is a movie that I saw many years ago. My dad, when I told my dad I was going to film school, he bought me like a ton of critically acclaimed movies, and some were quite disturbing. And in my dad's mind, the more disturbing they were, the better, because he thought that they would leave an impression on me, and some of them did. An honorable mention that didn't make this list that my dad bought me in that DVD pile was American History X, but that's a whole other topic for another day. I'm talking about Requiem for a Dream. Requiem for a Dream. It took me 2 times to sit through this movie, and I only got. At first, it didn't seem that interesting until you pay attention to what is going on with the 3 characters driving this story and all the events around it. Basically, there is an old lady, not an old lady, there's a middle-aged lady, and there is her son, and there is the son's girlfriend. And the Jared Leto plays the son, Jennifer Connelly plays the girlfriend. I'm going to look up the lady who plays...
Evelyn Burgess.
Yes.
Evelyn
Burgess.
Evelyn, yeah.
Yeah.
She actually played the mom from The Exorcist.
Yeah, she was in The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah. Well, I haven't seen The Exorcist, but I'll take your word for it. The Exorcist, for the record, is a movie that I'm actually extremely hesitant to watch, and I'll probably never see that in my lifetime, just because I've heard so much about it, that I've heard that it drove people to commit suicide, and I just want nothing to do with it. Like, so that's the power of film that I'm trying to hit home here, in this discussion. So, going back to Requiem for a Dream, the plot of the movie is divided into like 3 stages. I only remember the mom's the clearest. And by the way, I think all the movies I'm going to talk about tonight are movies that I have seen only once. That's how disturbing they are for me. I can't watch them again. Requiem for a Dream, the mom becomes upset.
That one's a fucking rough one to get through.
The mom.
Yeah, it actually took me a few times. Yeah, it took me a few times to get to. Like the first time I saw it, I think I was like 13, 14, something.
Oh God!
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
Yeah. So Requiem. The plot, the mom's story is she becomes obsessed with wanting to go onto a game show. But she has the perfect dress that she wants to wear onto the game show when they pick her. And in order to fit into this dress, she needs to lose weight to the point where she starts starving herself, to the point where she starts hallucinating about the refrigerator turning into the most terrifying animatronic monster you'll ever see.
Well, she's just abusing those pills because she needs to lose weight super fast.
That is true.
Yeah,
and her metabolism isn't what it used to be.
And it's deteriorating like mad. So the son gets
Harry.
Right. He gets into a bad rap with heroin, and he keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where Dr. Connors from Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, has to amputate his arm. How ironic, because Dr. Connors
is the lizard who lost his arm. Yeah.
Exactly. So, the end of the movie culminates with, and I didn't talk about the son's girlfriend
or his friend.
Well, it's clear that they're lovers. It's not quite sure what their relationship is, but we know right off the bat that it's dysfunctional as all hell.
No, I'm talking. There's Harry, his girlfriend, and his best friend.
Oh, the best friend, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the girlfriend here.
Yeah,
Jennifer Connelly. He was a Wayans. Damon Wayans?
Oh yeah.
He was a shorty from Scary Movie.
Oh, okay.
He was that Wayans.
Yeah.
That little.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That peckerhead.
So yeah, the girlfriend.
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah. The girlfriend.
Yeah, Marlon Wayans. Yeah, he was dominated too, eh?
Oh yeah.
Easily his best performance is in Requiem for a Dream.
So, anyways, the movie reaches the peak of all horror. The girlfriend winds up in the sex working industry, and she winds
orgy,
up she winds up working for Keith David, and one of the most uncomfortable shots I've ever seen in a movie involves her and a dildo, but it's not charming. For those of you horn dogs listening at home, it's not charming. Like, and if you've seen Requiem For A Dream, you know what I'm talking about.
Us to us!
Oh, God. Jeez. So, yeah, and when that movie was over, I was like, that's another time where I, like, felt physically sick. Like, just watching.
It's very draining to watch.
Yeah.
All 4 of them suffer horribly.
Yeah. I forgot. Well, if you think of what I forgot what happened to the best friend. Like,
he got sent to jail, and he really wanted a better life for himself, but he's just gonna spend years and years in jail.
Yeah.
Being constantly berated.
Yeah.
Okay.
With no way out.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Requiem for a Dream. Not too much more I can say about it, but I will actually no. There is one more thing. I lied. The editing is some of the best editing you will ever see, and it is edited
so good.
It is edited to make you feel like you are on a literal trip, like with drugs. And the only other movie that I have seen use the craft of filmmaking to simulate drug use well is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I'd also heavily recommend Spun.
That's a great one.
I haven't seen Spun, but
yes. Well, that's a freaking joint right there.
That's a fun movie, but it's the same themes as Requiem.
That is a fun movie.
Like, if you like cool editing and nice cinematography, Spun's actually pretty
underrated. The orchestral theme from Requiem for a Dream was introduced to me because it was used in the trailer for Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
A little off key, but
a little off key.
Yeah. But yeah, so.
But that was like that score was used in like every trailer though. If you think, like, every epic movie
had to have that
like,
music.
It had God, what did it have? It was like Lord of the Rings.
Virtually every YouTube video I watch.
Yeah.
Every YouTube video I watch that tries to be epic has that song.
Yeah,
it's like a go-to.
It became a cliche after a while.
It's pretty cliche now, but it's still an excellent song.
And it's such a good score, but it sucked.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, so a very uncomfortable movie, but it uses the craft of filmmaking masterfully. On a technical level, Requiem for a Dream is a marvel. On an emotional level, I can't stand it no more.
That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more.
Okay, so back to you, Sean. What have you got for its next?
So, when you talk about like camera and like filmmaking, you look at one director. Number one, Alfred Hitchcock, right? So
yes.
You look through all his films, and he uses a tool for all of his films, right?
Yeah.
But then you look to a certain film like Jaws.
Oh,
where it uses perfect score, perfect camera angles, and it's just perfect composition.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I've always felt that Spielberg's a bit overrated, just simply because like yes, he's a great storyteller. But there's better directors than him out there, in my opinion.
I always like to say that saying that Steven Spielberg's your favorite director is equal to saying the Beatles are your favorite rock band.
Well, way to single me out because Steven Spielberg is one of my favorite directors.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying there's a huge spectrum of art out there that is willing to, that can appeal to you on so many ways.
Yeah.
You're more than, like, it's nothing wrong with liking the Beatles or Spielberg. I'm just saying there's, like, other things out there. I just think they're a little too popular, you know? Like, there's other stuff you can go...
That I can understand.
In the underground markets. Or the art house markets. Like, there's all sorts of films you can find from various voices.
That's the best version I've heard of that argument so far. Great.
Yeah, alright. But yeah, Jaws is excellent.
And the fact that it literally scared that shit out of an entire, like, globe...
Yeah.
If you actually think about it, like Jaws was the first ever blockbuster.
It was, yes.
For a while,
two notes, just dun,
yeah,
dun 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 dun, and it's like you can literally like play it on a piano by accident. You know what I mean? That's how simple it is.
Yeah.
And then you also think of the camera angle, and that happened by accident. Think about it, because Spielberg originally wanted to show a shark in like so many other scenes, right?
Yeah.
But because the damn thing kept breaking down. He just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna use the camera angle as a shark." Boom, Hitchcock moment.
Yeah.
I think
Right?
I
Because
think
Hitchcock used the camera as a character.
yeah, the
And it's like,
limitations.
and when you think about filmmaking, it's it's so interesting when something so uncomfortable can just happen out of just sheer luck.
Yeah.
Well, the
Jaws
imagination.
essentially was just sheer fucking luck.
Yeah, well, the pure imagination
You know what I mean?
you have to have when you watch Jaws is so much more terrifying than any fake plastic shark.
Yeah.
I think that's what Spielberg used.
Dude, I can't even go to Ripley's Aquarium because of that movie.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
legit have thalassophobia because of that movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, you can even ask my fiance right behind me. Like, I took her to Ripley's once, and I legit almost shat myself because of it.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Oh man.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Anyways, yeah, and that's when you talk about like uncomfortable. And the thing is, the very first, I've seen them all, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't actually see the original first. I saw Jaws: The Revenge,
Oh
which
shit.
was
God.
like this little side thing where it was just like, oh, we're gonna close off the original movie, yeah, right? And but when I watched the original is actually like, it didn't terrify me because I've already I've already seen one shark movie. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then when I watch it, and then when you watch it the second time, you actually start appreciating all of the techniques that he used,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
right? And then so it's like the more times I watch it, it's just like, oh, interesting. I like that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. But then as you know how to make films, that gets boring, and yeah.
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 So, what I find so fascinating that you touched upon is how like the shark didn't work the way it was designed to, and I think something going wrong on a set and Murphy's Law applying to like the new filmmaker, because you guys have to remember Spielberg at this point in his life and career was as young as we are right now. So a guy our age, actually younger than us, went to make a movie, and the studio is sending him money every week. And he's going over budget. His equipment isn't working properly. His actors aren't fucking cooperating because there was that infamous scene where I can't remember. Why does the name escape me?
It's Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw got wasted, and he ruined a whole scene. And then Spielberg took him aside and said, "Dude, not cool. Like, come back the next day, and we're gonna do this again, and you better be sober." And Robert Shaw was like, "You're right, Steve. Like, I fucked this up."
Yeah, right, Steve.
And they came back and did the whole scene again, and it's one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. But just the fact that everything that could have possibly went wrong on that set
What
did.
was it?
What?
Which scene was it? Was it the?
It was the monologue he has where he has to talk about his experiences being surrounded by sharks after his ship gets sunk while they're delivering the atomic bomb.
Because he's like a professional.
Oh,
He's
right, yes, on the boat, right, yes,
yeah.
yes.
But what's
Like a
interesting is
doll's
so
eyes.
Spielberg at this point, like, he's losing his fucking mind, like I would be if I were him on this set. And what's really interesting is if the final cut of the movie didn't work and it bombed and it didn't create the pandemonium and all the hype that it did, and it didn't influence the world the way it did, Spielberg's career would have been R.I.P. like from there. Because let me tell you, Lyle and I did a movie last fall. We were on a set where the producer, who admittedly is a bit of a new producer, he's still finding his feet in being on set and all that. He bitched us out because we wrapped an hour and a half past the scheduled wrap time, and that happens in movies all the time. Spielberg was weeks behind schedule in the shooting. Universal kept sending him money, and they had no clue what the project was going to look like. They eventually said, "Okay, you have to stop. Like, you can't keep eating up our money like this. You have to wrap things up. You can't shoot anymore. Show us the footage, or you're done." So, to put that into perspective, like, this guy went through hell to make this movie, and he changed the film industry forever when it was done. So
Yeah.
that's a story that just really yes, the emotional experience of this movie is super uncomfortable, and my mom has a great story that she told me the story about how she watched this movie the night before she got on a plane to fly to marine biology camp in the Caribbean, and after my mom is a genius, right? But she had no clue what she was getting into. So my mom goes to marine biology camp for 2 weeks. She won't go in the water, and the counselors are trying to tell her, it's fine. The great whites don't come anywhere near these waters because there's coral, and the great whites don't like coral. I was like, my mom was like, I don't care. And people wouldn't even go in pools at the time. Like, that's the power this movie had. So, but yes, incredible power, and the guy who gave us this power went through hell and back to make it happen. So that's like the most positive thing I can take away from Jaws.
I just find it so interesting that everything just came together just out of sheer luck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
respect.
what I mean? Like sheer luck of that, and then with the score.
Yeah.
I think the
I was
score
born
held
with
it
it.
together pretty well, yeah.
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 Lots of respect, lots of love from up above. All right, shall we move
What's
forward?
on your next list? What's on the list, Lyle?
I can't really transition anywhere with this next one. Has nothing to do with sharks. If anything, it has more to do with cats and kids who wear bunny hats.
No! We're
ne-
not talking about the Cats movie.
No.
We're
You
gonna
should watch this movie if you hate cats, because my next pick is Gummo, from Harmony, a little man called Harmony Korine. You may know him. He wrote Kids. His most recent project was The Beach Bum. Yeah, I mean, I could have picked Kids, but like I think Gummo I want to talk about because I think it needs more attention. I of all the movies on this list, I've watched this one the most, and to be honest, I kind of dig it. Basically, it's kind of a stream of consciousness film about a small town in like Midwest USA that was struck with a hurricane, and basically all the people who live in the town are kind of deranged, and the main story follows these two teens who hunt cats for a living to sell their meat to a Chinese place for money. And there's not really much I can say about the plot really, but the whole experience just feels grimy and like I feel like I need a shower every time I see it. There's even this really infamous scene where one of the kids are in the bathtub. There's like a strip of bacon taped onto the soap dish, and he's like eating spaghetti while like bathing in not so clean water. Werner Herzog really liked that scene. He was like, "Oh, I need to work with this guy. I like his vision. He put bacon on the soap."
Wow.
There's if Evan, you like cats,
I love cats.
then don't watch this.
Got it.
The first 5 minutes, they drown a cat in a barrel. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, but I
am a very proud cat dad of 3, and my wife, my fiance, would literally fucking murder me if I was to put that movie on. And truth be told, honestly, I've never seen it. I've seen Kids, and after seeing Kids, I won't watch any other of his movies.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
No, Gummo isn't.
Yeah, I don't need to see Gummo.
Yeah, but no.
My buddy Alan will disagree with me. On this. But yeah, no, I do not need to see it. I can totally live without seeing Gummo.
Yeah, no, it's an uncomfortable watch. I do think there's a bit of beauty in its ugliness, but yeah, Gummo is certainly not for everyone, and it is rather foul at times. But that's all I need to say about it. Let's move on to you, Evan.
Okay, so shortest entry ever. Sean, you mentioned earlier that A Clockwork Orange got you interested in mental health. Well, my next pick is all about a mental health horror story, but it ends on a heartfelt note. I Am Sam. And I Am Sam is a movie I've only seen, like I said, I've only seen this once, and it's the everyone knows it. Everyone who has been watching movies for the last 10 years knows this movie exists because of that one joke from Tropic Thunder that everyone keeps repeating and everyone keeps quoting. So the plot of I Am Sam is, yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. So
You never go
and the best
full
part about it,
R.
that was improv.
Yeah.
You never go full R.
Yeah. God bless you, Robert Downey Jr. So anyways, I Am Sam is a movie about Sean Penn plays a man where they never say what exactly is his deal, like what condition he has, but I think either my mom or my dad gave this to me, and they explained to me he suffers from mental retardation, his character. So the first opening 5 minutes of this movie are extremely uncomfortable. Sam is I will never call him like retarded, but he is special needs, and he has what we're gonna call mental retardation, because they truthfully don't say what exactly his condition is. It's not like Rain Man where he is told halfway through the movie that he has autism. No, I Am Sam, you never really know what he has. You just know that he's got a mental issue, a serious mental issue, and the movie opens with him leaving work to go see his newborn baby, and the baby's mother looks really unwell. She gets on a bus, and then you never see her again. And Sean Penn's Sam is left with this baby girl to raise all on his own, and he takes the baby home and cares for it. And then his neighbor, who is the most loving woman I've ever seen in a movie, offers to be the girl's goddaughter and help raise her when Sam has to go to work. And he works at Starbucks for the whole movie. And eventually, the baby grows up into Dakota Fanning, which I will admit, this is the best movie she's ever done. And this is back when Dakota Fanning was just becoming like a huge child star.
She really kicked the doors down for child acting.
Yeah.
Like DiCaprio first set the bar, and then fucking Dakota Fanning comes on and just destroys it.
Yeah.
With that movie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the the Oscars sadly do not give nominations to kids. They've done it. I believe they've done. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They've done it before.
When did they give a kid a nomination?
Tatum O'Neal won an Academy Award for Paper Moon.
Oh, okay.
And Haley Joel Osment was nominated for Sixth Sense.
Oh, wow.
And Anna Paquin. Anna Paquin.
Kid from the Room.
Oh yeah,
Jacob
Tremblay.
He wasn't nominated, but there was a lot of pressure for him to have been nominated, and that was one of the outrages from that year. But anyway, so back to
Anna Paquin won for the piano, and she was 8 or something. So yeah, it has happened.
So anyways, back to I Am Sam. So Dakota Fanning is his daughter, and these specialists from Children's Aid or whatever the organization was come in and basically sit him down in one of the most heartbreaking conversations you'll ever see. They explain to him that, sir, your daughter is academically and cognitively more advanced than you are. She's 10. She's 8 or 10 right now. You have the cognitive awareness of a 7-year-old, and she is going to be better and more advanced than you at everything you do in life. So from that point on, the whole movie is Child Services takes her away and dumps her in the foster care of Laura Dern. Now, Laura Dern is amazing, and then he has to lawyer up, so Sam has to go to Michelle Pfeiffer, who agrees to work with him pro bono because he has no money to fight for custody battle of his daughter, or to pay the lawyer's fees. So she works pro bono, and they have not a romantic relationship, but the lawyer and the client, they do bond in a really interesting way. But the whole movie is just a depressing state of affairs where you're watching this guy fight for not just his daughter, but his dignity too, and his humility. And he's got his friends are very loyal. That's one of the parts I did like. His friends are all special needs as well, but they are all extremely loyal. And what's really interesting is, you'd think what I was terrified was going to happen was, when I'm watching this movie for the first time, I'm thinking, and only time, I'm thinking, is this going to be a movie where the girl hates her dad for who he is and just wants to run away? It's not that at all. This girl loves her dad more than anything, despite the fact that she knows that she will be more advanced than he'll ever be in life. And she wants to be with him, And the movie actually resolves itself by she gets sent to live with Laura Dern as a foster mom. And the Laura Dern foster mom is not an evil character. She's just doing what the court assigned her to do, watch over this girl. So, the Dakota Fanning like keeps sneaking out every night to run across the street because they live at this point in the movie. The foster mom and the dad the arrangement was the foster mom and Sam live like 3 doors down from one another. So the girl keeps sneaking out every night and goes to sleep in her dad's house. So and then they reach a very touching conclusion where he gets to be with his daughter in the best proximity possible, and he gets to be a part of her life. But how it gets there is just heartbreaking to watch, and it actually makes me it got me really thinking about, you know, what it's like for parents who have autism. Like, it's one thing to be the parent of an autistic child, but that autistic child or that special needs child or Down syndrome child or ADHD child, they grow up into adults. That's one of the things we keep forgetting, like when we're in school. Every special needs child you'll ever see in school is going to grow up to be an adult, and you're never going to know. You might know if you keep in touch with them what happens to them, and some of them live amazing lives. Like my buddy who was on the spectrum from high school just had a baby with his wife, so he's doing amazing, but that's sadly not the case for everyone. And it really makes me feel for the people with, you know, conditions and mental health challenges who are struggling to just fight for lives that we all have. So that's why I Am Sam struck a really powerful chord with me. And of all the movies I've talked about on this list, that's one of I think the two of them that I would maybe watch again under the right circumstances. Maybe like after I become a parent someday, I'd probably watch that again. But for now, like I just can't go anywhere near it. It's a very sad movie.
Yeah, no, that movie that movie's up there with like The Pursuit of Happiness, Old Yeller, and just yeah, no, that's sad. But man,
I've yet to see it.
I can't transition that with this one because this one, like the next movie, like they're it's like spit on your grave, right? Like you can't.
I Am Sam.
This is a movie where it's just like, all right, here it is. There's 40 minutes of a woman being like gang raped, and just has like for a good solid hour, just like the worst thing in life that could ever happen to a human being.
Yeah.
Like just because of the fact that she stood up for herself. You know what I mean? Like they made her life fucking miserable. And what she does to them afterwards, oh my god, it's even more uncomfortable because because okay. So when you're comparing the original and the remake, right? You have the remake has a lot more gore in it, but when you look at the original, it's just so more disturbing because of the film, right? Because I think it was only shot on 16, just regular 16 millimeter, not super. I could be wrong on that. But it's just like a graininess, just adds just like this weird, uncomfortable, it's like Gummo, right? Where it's like you need a shower after.
Yeah, it's very grimy, grainy footage.
Oh my god, and it's like what she does to the dudes afterwards even more gut wrenching because it's like you want them to die, but at the same time it's like, oh my god, you're chopping his dick off. I have a dick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I don't really want to get like terrible imagery, but it's just oh my god. And it's like the first time I watched it, I think it was like 3 months into film school. I was into because I was hanging with my buddy Alan, and we were just exchanging like, well, what is the most extreme movie that we can find? You know what I mean? And we still have that. We don't really have that question anymore, but it's more like a question of like, oh my god, what is the most fucked up thing I can watch? And this was one of those movies, and he showed it to me, and I watched it, and I'm just like, again, I was just like, oh my lord, what the hell did I just see? And just and it's like you have like other like hillbilly-esque, like of course there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, You know what I mean? There's Deliverance.
Yeah, Deliverance.
Deliverance.
The Hills
The
Have
Last House
Eyes.
on the Left. Like, yeah, like those movies, but like I Stood Under Your Grave was just like that gut wrenching, no, you are not coming in for a good time. You are coming in for a terrible time. I hate you. You're going to see this. You're going to hate yourself for watching this, and that's going to be the end of it. It's just one of those movies.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. I've yet to see it. I haven't had the pleasure, so.
I haven't seen it either. So.
But I know more. I know
Good
all
luck
about.
if you watch it. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah.
I know much about it.
I think I'm gonna put this with The Exorcist on like a list of movies I'm never going to see based on the description alone. The title alone,
especially in like 2020 time. Absolutely.
The title alone makes it sound so appealing, eh? It's like Freddy Got Fingered. Like that title just makes you not want to watch it.
Yeah, could have picked a better title.
Yeah.
Ugh, fuck that movie.
So what's
Okay, well, I guess this next film I picked is sort of similar in that it's about females torturing men. My next pick is Antichrist, directed by Lars von Trier.
Oh, okay.
I actually just saw this film. I saw this film a week ago, and it left me feeling very icky. In fact, I kind of had to watch it like 1.5 speed. Just it is very long and kind of deliberate and slow at times. But the first opening scene is a real eye-opener because, like, the couple, Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsborough are having sex, and their little son...
Literally.
Yeah.
I should add.
Yeah, you see everything.
You see the whole shebang.
They put the bang in shebang. But anyways, yeah, and you see the little son climbing up over a drawer, looking over a window, climbing through the window, and falling to his death in the very first scene, all set to pretty orchestral choirs and all this, and really, really slow, like almost phantom camera-like cinematography. It's gorgeous, but horrifying at the same time. And then it's just this woman dealing with so much like grief and depression after the death of her son, and her husband is trying to be her therapist, which is never a good idea. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
That was really terrible. I am the only one who can help you. The others don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So they go to a cabin in the woods, which is where all great horror movies start. And yeah.
Josh Whedon knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Drew Goddard and Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But anyways, like the husband suffers hallucinations while he's out there. The wife starts like they call it a fear of nature, so she doesn't want to be anywhere near forests or trees or anything. And he has to coach her through that. And eventually, she starts to believe that all women are built to be evil. And that's she uses the witch trials as an example. She uses all sorts of kind of cryptic information she gets from various sources. And eventually she turns on her husband in one of the most disgusting torture porn-like scenes I've ever seen, involving a grindstone and a drill to the leg. I don't want to get too far into it. But yeah, it's just a very grisly movie. I think the sickest thing I saw...
That's not even the worst scene in the movie. That's the sad part.
Yeah, no.
There's one that's even worse than that.
Are you talking about the fox scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, where Willem Dafoe stumbles along in the woods and he sees a fox that's disemboweling itself with its own teeth. And then it literally speaks in English, chaos reigns.
Wow.
And it's like, who comes up with this fucking shit? The movie, I don't know if
fucking Lars von Trier, that's who does.
Yeah, he is a fascinating individual.
Hey.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend.
Hang on.
We are hanging on.
We're good.
Okay, good.
We are good.
Good.
Yeah, but Antichrist is certainly not for everyone. It's definitely not a date movie. And yeah, I don't know. Like
if you take your girl to go see Antichrist, and she's into it, she's a keeper.
Oh God,
that's all I would say.
I suppose.
You know, like if she's the one that says, "Hey, you want to go see Antichrist?" No, motherfucker, drop to your knee right now and give her the ring.
Yeah.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about Antichrist, really.
Okay. I'm not sure. I think I might be the only person who has either seen or heard of this movie. It's called Christine. Now, unlike the other movies that I've talked about, or I'm going to talk about on this list, this is based on a true story, a horrifying true story. Christine Chubbuck was a small-time news reporter working in the 1970s in a dead-end television studio in Florida. And basically her station is dying. She is an emotional and mental wreck. She's chronically depressed. It keeps going to the hospital for ovarian cysts or some kind of formation like on her ovaries that could compromise her ability to have children. That's just a side plot, but it intertwines with the whole story, like, and just how she devolves. Because it's based on a true story, I'm just going to give away what happens. She blows her brains out on local television, and it becomes a national story. Because this really happened. Christine Chubbuck was a real reporter who was given some airtime, and she took a gun to her head and just bang. That was it.
Bud Dwyer did something very similar to that.
Well, the event.
Yeah, he did the same thing. Yeah.
The Christine Chubbuck story was one of the stories, I guess, along with Bud Dwyer, that inspired the movie Network, which came out in the real life.
I don't know about that, because Bud Dwyer died in the late 80s, and Network came out in the 70s.
Yeah, then it was only Christine Chubbuck. Sorry about that. Yeah. But the cast is incredible. Rebecca Hall plays Christine Chubbuck. It's probably the best role I've ever seen her do. Michael C. Hall, no relation to Rebecca Hall. Dexter. Michael C. Hall is her coworker who kind of like might be subtly romantically interested in her. He takes her under his wing, and he tries to be. He's really good to her. Like, it is very uncomfortable, like, watching this movie and watching Christine suffer. And
yeah, it's sad.
Tracy Letts, who was also in Lady Bird, and Tracy Letts, he's this middle-aged actor, but he's really grown in popularity over the last 4 years. And I saw this at TIFF in 2016, and he's been in a ton of things since then. Oh, Tracy Letts was the Ford grandson in Ford versus Ferrari. That's just one. Lady Bird and Ford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Tracy Letts, he plays the station manager, and he's the most uptight, like, asshole ever. Like, he's a pain in the ass to work with. He is his view for the team and the view for this workplace is so myopic that you almost want to blame him for the reason it's failing. So he's like that manager who won't listen to anyone but himself or his higher-ups. And we can all relate to, having that boss at some point in our lives. Yeah. So there's a scene where the most uncomfortable scene in the whole movie for me is oddly enough, not the scene where she blows her brains out, but there is a scene where she has a temper tantrum in the studio, and she screams at her boss, and he screams back at her, and it's not pretty. Like, I don't even feel comfortable talking about it because it's too real. Like, an altercation like that could be seen in, like, a real workplace. And what's interesting enough is when I saw this at TIFF, the speaker system was glitching. Like, the film festival was prone to several technical problems. Not to bash the Toronto International Film Festival. It's an amazing festival. If you're into movies, I highly encourage you to go and check it out. But this particular, like, screening I was in was, I think, a press screening, because I had a pass so that I could get into those, and the speakers kept glitching, and during the scene where they're screaming at each other, the audio actually cuts out, and the audience was booing, like, they're like, "Yo, fix the tech." And then I'm just sitting there, like, relieved that I don't have to hear this argument play out, because I was, like, squirming in my seat, like, watching this movie. So, it's a true story. the movie is called Christine. Stars Rebecca Hall, and Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Hall.
And Tracy Letts.
Actually, I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I think the only scene I saw was the suicide scene, and it was pretty hard to sit through, actually. Like, they did a really good job of, like, making it feel real, and you see all the reactions of the crew as soon as she dies, and they check her body that's still twitching after the gunshot.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, no, you
like,
should,
streaming services or anything?
I would encourage you to look around for it. I know it was limited release when it did come out. Bay Street Video, by the way, Bay Street Video is not a sponsor of ours yet, but we're just going to endorse them right here and now. Bay Street Video, even in the pandemic, they've reopened. If you're a Toronto resident and you're looking to rent movies, like hard to find movies or buy hard to find movies, go check out Bay Street Video at Bay and Bloor.
They have a terrific selection, yes.
So, not a sponsor yet, but
check out Eyesore Cinema too, just on Bloor.
Yeah.
I think Bloor and Ossington, just a little around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you want some rarities as well? Check them out as well.
Yeah. So.
Like,
So if you want to find a copy of Christine to rent, go to any of these places that we just recommended. So, yeah, I look forward to hearing your 2 cents on it once you guys both watch it, like all the way to the end.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting is that you gave me an actually really interesting. Again, I'm going to go back into the world of Spielberg here, and I'm going to go to a movie called The Color Purple.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
Haven't
Nope.
seen it, unfortunately. No.
So, here's the cast. So, Danny Glover,
Okay.
Whoopi Goldberg,
Oh yeah.
Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
Those 3 are in it. Yeah.
Wow.
This movie won 11 Academy Awards. I believe, either won or was nominated. It was either or.
I believe nominated makes more sense.
But, yeah. Now, when I first watched this film, I was 6 years old.
Oh,
My mom
jeez.
had a VHS tape with Schindler's List and The Color Purple, weirdly enough. And, yeah, and I watched The Color Purple, and that movie, like, oh, God. You want, you talk about I Am Sam, you talk about Christine, like, you want something that will make you bawl your fucking eyes out is The Color Purple, because it's about this woman named Sissy. I believe her name is Sissy, played by Goldberg, and you see her go through this journey of being literally sold from her father to this man like Danny Glover, where he beats her mercilessly. He takes full advantage of her. He doesn't like he literally treats her like garbage. Danny Glover treats Whoopi Goldberg like garbage throughout the entire movie. And then you have this sassy character like Oprah Winfrey come in, and she plays Danny Glover's like daughter-in-law, and you see her have like this spunk of like independent womanhood. And there's this one scene in particular where she so she was trying to defend her kids from this white mob. This is going back to like I think it was like predating to like 19 or either 1800s or early 1900s. Can't remember exactly. Anyways, so where was it going? Right. So so you see her go through this whole journey, and you see her get married and have more kids, and now you see her slowly becoming more and more. And the one scene is that when Oprah Winfrey is trying to defend her kids from this white mob, she gets beaten, thrown in jail, and then comes back, I think, like 9 months later or something like that, or 9 years later or something like that. And she's now under the, I think it's the warden's wife, I think it is, and she's got to like drive her around and all that shit. And the warden's wife said, "You can go see your family for Christmas." Now keep in mind, this woman hadn't seen her family in like ever.
Wow.
Right? And she says she can go see her family, and then as soon as the white woman drops her off, the white woman starts to leave, but then all of a sudden she gets scared by a black guy, right?
Yeah.
and she goes into this full-on panic mode for no reason, and forces Oprah Winfrey to cancel her family Christmas just to drive the white woman back. Like, oh, like, I hated that made me so angry, and just, like, because it's like, there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. And
Wow.
it's so uncomfortable. And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, back then, that's how it was. Like, where there was so much segregation that blacks were considered, like, less than equal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a powerful film too. It's so powerful. Like, if you want to see a movie where it actually makes you think and actually question and actually appreciate everything you have, check out The Color Purple.
Okay.
That kind of, everything you just described to me kind of reminded me of 12 Years a Slave, which almost made my list.
Yeah, 12 Years a Slave is a lot like it, and Steve McQueen is an absolutely brilliant fucking director. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Widows, but there was actually another scene in there, just an honorable mention, where the man, there's, I don't know, have you guys seen Widows?
No.
Not yet. No.
I have not, no.
So it's basically about, long story short, so these four women get caught up in their husband's illegal activity.
Okay.
Right? And one guy actually takes a small dog and grabs it by the neck and, like, whips the dog in the woman's face, and he says, "I will fucking kill this dog if you don't do what I say."
Oh my god.
He didn't say it exactly like that, but that's how I remembered it. And it made both me and Linda so uncomfortable, like me and my fiance Linda, that we actually left the movie because it was just so, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But
I'd probably...
anyways, yeah. Back to The Color Purple. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. This movie, 11 Academy Awards, huh? So, yeah, it kind of, like, you know, how do I approach this, like, with... I want to kind of tread lightly here, because, I'm not the most familiar with, like, I don't want to even call it African-American cinema, because it's just cinema. And I just remember having this conversation when Black Panther came out with someone. They're like, oh, this is a milestone for black films. I'm like, it's a milestone for movies in general. Yeah. So... like,
Spike Lee was coming out with masterpieces even before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Look at Rudy Ray Moore. But, like, he made amazing movies. With shit budgets.
Yeah.
Like, and if it wasn't for those movies, you know, Jordan Peele wouldn't have made Get Out.
Yeah.
Which is, like, a horror classic.
Yeah.
It's a modern day horror classic.
Already, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like...
But then again, like, I haven't seen Black Panther in a while. I just remember I've seen it a couple times and I really liked it. But I don't want to get too off topic, because, like, but it really makes it it really makes me want to, like, look back on, you know, the whole industry and think of movies where it's prominently a black protagonist, prominently a black lead, prominently a black cast.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of harkens to that point. So I just like how you're curious for Christine, I'm curious for it in a weird sense. I know what I'm in for, but I want to watch it. Like,
yeah,
it's really interesting.
I'll check it out for sure. It's on my list.
Yeah, it's also my mother's favorite film as well. She loves a good, like, tearjerker.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, that movie for her, it's just like it's the epitome of, like, everything. That she'll watch fucking Mamma Mia 100,000 times over.
And she watched The Color Purple back to back with Schindler's List.
That's...
Yeah, it was on a VHS, homemade VHSs.
Oh, it was a burnt
and I guess
VHS.
She had, like,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
And she, I don't know how she did it, but yeah.
God, that's like an empty box of Kleenexes right there.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Schindler's List would have been a good one too for this.
So Schindler's List is going to get an honorable mention, and all I'm going to say about that is,
movie.
Lyle and I went to the Holocaust Memorial Museum, which is about half a mile south of the White House in Washington D.C.
Yeah,
and it's one of the best museums I've ever been to. But the emotional experience of that museum was so powerful, and when we got back to the hotel last night, we almost watched Schindler's List. But at the end of the day, we just thought we'll watch Schindler's List another time. But yeah. Okay, so
you need to bring a lunch for that one.
Yeah,
you're gonna get schooled on that because that's. And you know what the craziest part about it? That was his thesis film for his master's degree.
Wow, The Color Purple.
No, Schindler's List.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay. So it was an idea he had for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. Because he deeply as a man and as a filmmaker in Hollywood, Spielberg was very secretive and discreet about his Jewish roots because he grew up in Arizona, which was anti-Semitism hell. Like even back when Spielberg was a kid, and this is post World War II America we're talking about. So. That's another. I could gush over how Spielberg did something really cool with his life and how he really came out of admitting his heritage. So but that's all I have to say about that. Good on him. Mm-hmm. Good on him. So I believe, Lyle, what you're about to talk about next is a movie that I have been. It makes me super uncomfortable, but I've actually been compelled to watch this many times.
Yeah. So my next pick, which we referenced in the very start of this episode, I believe.
Oddly enough.
Yeah. I'll give a little context. I am very nervous around loud people, especially people of higher authority, people who I'm supposed to be an underling to. I really don't react well to people who shout. I don't like people who are super aggressive or super condescending. And that's why the next movie here, Whiplash, is a movie that I get way too uncomfortable just sitting through. And while it is an excellent film, and I do like it, I just simply don't enjoy sitting through the entire thing.
Brutal film.
Yeah.
You thought J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man trilogy was intense. You ain't seen nothing.
One of the things... describe the plot of this movie, because we need context.
A young jazz drummer who wants to be a part of the... is he in university or college?
He's in a musical conservatory.
It's like a private... it's like Juilliard.
Okay, so it's a music school where he wants to be a part of the jazz band. He wants to play lead drums, and he gets an offer from the conductor, Terrence Fletcher?
Terrence Fletcher, yeah.
Fletcher, yeah.
Played by
J.K. Simmons, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not the greatest drummer, and Fletcher goes through incredibly harsh measures to try and make him better, to the point where the kid is even super hard on himself at every turn. If he makes one mistake, he punishes himself. He plays until his knuckles bleed. He doesn't sleep very well. He's confrontational to everyone,
including his family.
Including his family. He slowly deteriorates from just a nice ordinary guy into someone who's far more hard on himself than he needs to be, to the point where it causes mental and even physical damage to his body.
Oh yeah.
And but I will say the ending is an incredibly well-deserved payoff.
Yeah. No,
I don't want to spoil, but yeah, basically Fletcher in this movie is so. Almost to the same point as Arlie Ermey from Full Metal Jacket. He is so draconian in his methods that
I think that was a look. Chazelle, Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle, yeah.
Yes.
I believe that was. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, because I think he said he faced. Go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, I'll just say, I remember, a story where J.K. Simmons, every time they finished a shot, he'd always look at the actors I am so sorry. I hope you're okay. I'm even surprised at how scary I was. Jesus Christ. Because, Damon Chazelle would always, come up to him and say, I don't want any humanity in Fletcher. I want you to be a monster.
Yeah, and it gets to the point where, this guy is just a machine, and I'm not going to spoil the scene, but the breaking point for this kid, it involves physical damage, and this guy, even after...
a near-death experience.
Yeah, this kid is just still pushing, even though he's bleeding out of his ear, and Fletcher is still Neiman, what the fuck? And I'm wow, you just crossed the line from, rigorous instructor to, you're a fucking sociopath and this kid needs to get out like right now for his own safety.
Yeah, I've been a musician. Like I remember when I was in concert band in my school and jazz band in my school, we'd go across the country doing special seminars with various conductors. And one conductor was very harsh on our senior band, to the point where the music teacher just said, "No, he's an asshole. I don't like him." And then one parent said, "But he's a professional. He knows what he's talking about." And our kids are simply students who aren't fully professional musicians. So the people he deals with in his career are on a much higher level than us here. And he's trying to get us to this level in a super short time. It must be very frustrating and taxing on his part. We're taking time out of his schedule. And, while it was a negative experience, sure, for some of the kids, this is just how the world of music is. And it makes me think that maybe Fletcher isn't as unrealistic as we may think he is.
Oh, no, he's not unrealistic at all.
I think he is. I think there are many Fletchers out there in the music
world.
Totally
realistic.
Because when I go watch, like, clips from Whiplash on YouTube, and I just watch him in each scene, like, I've seen so many comments saying, "Oh, I had a band teacher like this."
But at the same time, like, he was such a dick in that movie. Especially at the end where he says that one line, and when he says that one line, your whole gut just drops. You're like, oh, this kid's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally, like, I don't know if you remember the line, but it's just like, see,
I knew it was you, Neiman? Is that
it? Like, you think I'm fucking stupid? I knew it was you.
No, he goes, I knew it was you.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And he goes, no, we're going to do something a little different tonight. And, he just, like,
Yeah, he fucks him over pretty bad.
We don't want to give too much away, but, like, it's a really daring scene.
So that just leaves us to our last film of
the
night.
I guess it's up to me to bring this on home. So, you just... we actually have another transition here because you talked about a musical romp, and... my movie, the last movie I'm going to talk about tonight, is probably the most recent movie that's been made in, like, all our roster. Because we covered, like, almost 70, 80 years worth of decades of film. So,
for sure,
the movie I'm going to end on is a movie that is not based on a true story, but I can definitely tell it is based on a real person. The movie Her Smell was a movie that both Lyle and I had the pleasure of seeing at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Back in 2018.
Back in 2018.
I think this is the most recent movie on the list.
Yeah, it is. And it had its theatrical run last year. There was a girl I was going out with at the time who was a metalhead, and I begged her, like, let's go see this movie. His schedules didn't work out, but it was having a short run. I'm like, you will love this movie. Her Smell is a movie about this... what's a punk?
They are a grunge band.
They're a grunge.
She's 90s. They are an all-girl grunge band.
She is the lead vocal and guitarist of a grunge band, and the movie the 3-act structure of this movie is set in place really well. So in Act 1, it establishes who she is, and she's this ego-driven, character, and she is abusing her kid. Like, her child is like a year and a half, 2 years old, and she literally drops the poor girl. Like, they literally show this in the movie. And then I'm like, oh my god. And she's bringing in this witch doctor to conduct spiritual rituals. So that right away turned me off, because I've had encounters with spiritual people who are so inclined to believe that they are so in tune with themselves that they are destined by God or whatever forces there are to succeed. Like, they believe that angels are on their side. Like, but not to take a shit on all spiritual people. Like, spiritual people are awesome. I'm a spiritual guy myself. But this was like some next level Kool-Aid. I'm telling you.
Kool-Aid.
So, no, next level Kool-Aid, because the term drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. So the point is, so she fudges a relationship with the guy who is producing all her concerts, and the first half of the movie is basically how she crashes and burns months.
Yeah, she like makes shows run. She's like always late for shows. She makes everyone wait like hours at a time.
Yeah.
She's a nightmare while they're recording in a studio. Her bandmates can barely stand her.
Yeah.
And like she even brings in a new band under her wing to like front for them, and they get dragged in the mud along with her because she's like causing so many issues.
Yeah.
And like, you're saying like this person is based on someone. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not. The director is
Courtney Love.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
The director hasn't confirmed it, but
Courtney fucking Love.
99% sure this is a movie about Courtney Love.
Yeah.
And her experiences with Hole.
Yeah. But yeah, so the first half of the movie is how not Courtney Love crashes, and the second half is how she picks herself up again.
Actually, I'd say the last third, actually.
Last third, yeah. Because the first 2/3 are about how she, like, ruins her marriage, she sabotages the relationship with her band.
Ruins her career, yeah.
The most disturbing scene in that whole movie for me is... I know I just talked about how she literally drops her daughter, like, when she's high as a kite, but there is a scene where she after screaming and condemning, like, everyone in her life who supports her to death, like, she's like, you can all fuck off and die. Now, she didn't say those words exactly. She was a lot more disturbingly poetic, but she's like, literally, fuck all of y'all, you can all die now. Trashed out of her mind, she walks on stage... Before I forget, the actress who plays this lady is Elizabeth Moss, who was just in
The Invisible Man.
The remake of The Invisible Man.
She's also from Mad Men.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Moss walks out on stage, trashed, and the audience doesn't know what to make of her. Half of them cheer, half of them are like, "Whoa!" Like, and you can hear in the crowds, and like. Her bandmates do not follow her on stage. The sound equipment is downed, and she's like strumming her guitar thinking she's just going to play, but then she has to be escorted off the stage by security. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
So that's
the movie is very condensed too. Like usually most films have like dozens of scenes delivering all this, but I think there's only like a total of 5 scenes.
There really is,
in the entire movie. They're very long.
And it doesn't feel like a short movie. It's like an hour and a half, but it feels like 2 hours. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it yet, but it's been on my list.
Yeah, no, her smell is very good.
Yeah.
And very, very uncomfortable.
I love how
it's more than uncomfortable. I'd say it's very frustrating too.
Yeah.
We feel for each person in the band and all the other people in her support line who are constantly putting up with her bullshit, and we're like, come on, don't be like this.
Yeah.
You signed up for this.
Yeah. I think this and Sid and Nancy are good examples of movies that show like the dark side of being a rock star.
Yeah.
Like more than any biopic can show, because it really shows like the dirtiness and how your ego can inflate to such an extent that you kind of lose your personality in the mix.
Yeah.
And like and the trials and tribulations of working with others, that you're stuck with people who you don't like, and if you quit the band, then what are you going to do next? Probably won't be as successful. Like, you might be in your heyday. There's even one point where the bassist does a line of coke in a bathroom and like yells at herself in the mirror, like, why did you put yourself through this? What else are you going to do?
Who was the other big name in that movie?
Eric Stoltz was in the movie.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was the manager.
Oh, yeah. And what I found really interesting was they actually get to a point where like they can be on speaking terms again, and I'm like, if I were the manager, I would never talk to this person ever again. But Lyle explained to me, that's the industry. Like, that's how it works sometimes. Like,
because like the movie ends on a reunion. It's kind of like they're on like some label kind of similar to Sub Pop, and it's like celebrating the 25th anniversary 90s reunion, and then like she comes on stage. I actually thought the movie was going to end on a super dark note, because she says something like, this is the last time we'll see all of you again. And I thought they were going to pull like kind of like an ending similar to Christine.
Yeah.
But like thankfully it doesn't really get that dour.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hopeful ending, actually.
So, and thank you. That made this whole thing, like, cause we're not sure, and then you just said Courtney Love, so we have a Nirvana fan here.
Yeah. Actually,
there you go.
Yeah.
I love Nirvana, but yeah. I think that's all we have on
That's
our
all we
list
have.
today.
Yeah, so I feel like this was an emotional experience in and of itself. So
Great.
yeah, this
Thanks for joining us, Sean.
yeah, Sean
No.
Sean Stokes.
Not a
We'd like
problem, guys.
yeah we'd like to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please, YouTube audience, hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Anchor.fm. We will see you all next week.
This was a very successful sophomore episode of So to Speak.
Thank you all.
Yes, definitely. Take care, guys.
Take care.